In my quest to review every season individually, there is so much dang Simpsons. There's 30 seasons. I reviewed one, and I've only gotten 4 episodes into season 2, so that means I have so there's like, I think 18, 19, something like that, more episodes in that season left, and then there's 29 more seasons after that. So I'm not going to say I'm going to quit doing it. I'm going to do it at my own pace, but I thought I should talk about the Simpsons movie because it's easier to get that out before the review of season 2. So let's talk about the Simpsons movie, which I remember really liking the first time I saw it on television. And I really don't after watching it. I remember why I liked it, and I thought it was really funny. And this movie is pretty funny. But the problem with it is it's not founded in the characters that we like being who they are. You see, this season came out after The Simpsons Golden Age. And this is, I think they were starting up season 10 or 11, somewhere like that around this time, or 12. I can't, it's so hard to remember these seasons because there's so much Simpsons now. And the show was very, very, very bad when it comes to getting the characters' rights. Because these season 9 was the death of The Simpsons, according to most people. So putting this movie out after The Simpsons Golden Age was just not a good idea, but this is when the characters started acting differently. So Homer, instead of being a good provider who's a good person trying his hardest, and it's just not that bright, but is still a good person trying his hardest, is now just an ignorant dumbass. I don't like talking like that, but Homer Simpson in this movie is a terrible person. What this movie is about after Lisa discovers a problem with the lake and the mutation going around, which is actually an episode of The Simpsons that I watched this morning before I watched this movie, believe it or not. So I guess whatever. And she is like, well, they need to stop dumping things in the lake. So they agree to stop dumping stuff in the lake because otherwise Springfield will be in big trouble. So Homer, being an idiot, finds this pig and he saves the pig from this restaurant and ends up causing the doom of the town. And the Simpsons family gets chased out of the town, and then they have to come back and save the town. But Homer causes most of the conflict. He dumps pig crap in the lake, driving past a ton of signs that say no dumping, no nothing. And Marge tells him not to. He does it anyways and is an idiot and doesn't see anything wrong with it. They moved to Alaska because of him. And it is so retardedly horrible. For Homer is a horrible character. Like, he's terrible. He is at his worst so far of The Simpsons I've reviewed, of course, but he's not at the absolute worst. He gets so much worse. But it's just irritating because it's like, dude, I get it, you're an idiot, but you're not this dumb. You're not Peter Griffin, who just is a bad person who doesn't care who they harm. Homer is awful. Then you got Bart's subplot, which is like he's just in his subplot is he wants Ned to be his dad because he's being a better dad than Homer, which is like, I guess it kind of makes sense, but like the way that subplot is just revolved is just like, oh, it's over now. It's kind of not even really a plot. Marge's plot is just generic at this point. It makes sense, but at this point I'm like, why are you guys even still married? Homer's a terrible person. I mean, I get it in the context of The Simpsons being a show, but still, it's irritating. And it's generic because it's been told over and over again. And yes, this movie is funny. There are really good gags. There are great, amazing gags in this movie that I will forever love. And yeah, I mean, there's quotable lines, there's great scenes, there's just great stuff. But overall, this movie's not a good. Overall, this is just a really long, bad, generic episode of The Simpsons. I mean, this isn't a horrible episode by any means, but it's a generic bad episode of The Simpsons. And generic doesn't always mean horrible, but it always is just like, well. So who knows what they'll do. I heard that they might make a Simpsons movie too. We'll see what happens there, but this movie just did not turn out all that great. But who knows. And another problem with this movie is just the length. For a Simpsons movie, with how many characters The Simpsons has at this point, this movie should have been at least like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that, at the very least. This movie is only like an hour and 26 minutes. It's not even like a full hour. It's not even a full hour and a half. That's ridiculous. But whatever. I feel like they could have fleshed out the story a little bit more, wrapped up everything a lot better if it had been a little bit shorter, but, who knows. The Simpsons just is at the point now where we're like, ugh. So yeah. That's just the point I'm at with The Simpsons. And, we'll talk about more how the show changed later on, but it really did change. And it's really sad what happened to The Simpsons, but we'll talk about that more once we get to, like, Season 9 onward. Oh boy, Season 30. Oh god. Beware. Beware of that.